Hello everyone, welcome to the reading comprehension class where we will be describing events in a story. What is our objective today? Students will be able to identify the main events in a story using self-monitoring. What is an event? Something that happens in a story. What do we need to know to be able to do this? First, we should be able to identify characters, the main characters and the small characters. This we already did in our previous lesson. Next, we have to self-monitor, which we also did in our previous lesson. What is self-monitoring? Self-monitoring is a reading strategy so that when we are reading a piece of text, we can make sense of what we are reading. We also did this in the last couple of lessons, and we will try to remember what we did. Values that we are going to connect today are courage and a lot of curiosity. So let's go on with the objective. We are still continue with the lesson Peace and Harmony. Today we are going to look at the main events that is happening in the story and write them down. I will show you how I am doing this for the first two paragraphs in the story. So I start by reading the story. While I am reading, I am also self-monitoring, which means that I am trying to understand what I am reading. If I find a difficult word, I am trying to guess the meaning and keep moving on. Sometimes, if I find it difficult to understand a word, I read the sentence again. I may have to read the sentence before it or the sentence after it. Sometimes I have to finish reading the whole paragraph and then I will be able to understand. This is called self-monitoring, and this is what you will also follow to read any piece of text. So let's start with reading the story. Once upon a time, in a very thick forest, there lived many animals, birds, snakes, and insects. They all lived together happily. They roamed about the jungle and played together in the open fields without any fear. The peacocks were very proud of their dances, but admired the melodious songs of the cuckoos. The elephants enjoyed watching the fish swimming in the pool. The pythons, which were blessed with long bodies, spoke well of the fine fur of the flat-footed rabbits. The tiny ants, which were always busy, tickled the dark buffaloes. So I stop here and I think what the paragraph is all about. I can remember a few things like the paragraph talks about the animals in a very thick forest. It also talks about how the animals are having fun with each other. They are friendly with each other. Okay, so I next continue reading the next paragraph. They often held musical evenings in a large open field. The elephant and the deer danced, the manas and the parrot sang, the tiger and the bear exhibited gymnastics. They called the moon and his friends, the stars, to be the guests of honor at their musical evenings. So I have finished reading the second paragraph now, and I just stop and think what I have read. So what I can remember from this paragraph is it is talking about a musical evening that is happening in a large open field. It also talks about all the animals they are performing in this musical event. And they also have invited quite a few guests like the moon and the stars. So once I'm reading the paragraphs 1 and 2, I'm going to fill up this table. What are the things I'm going to fill up? I'm going to fill up who are the characters first. So, because we already did this in the previous class where we identified characters, we identified that all the animals in the story are small characters. And I write down who are the characters in the story in these two paragraphs. They are the animals in the forest. I do not go and write down all the details, like I could write the elephant and the deer, but they are all still the animals in the forest. I do this because I know they are not the main characters. Next, what is the main event? Okay, when I read the paragraphs 1 and 2, there are only a few things which stand out to me, which look very important to me. And what is that? I think the animals living happily in the forest is the main event the story is talking about in this part. I write it down. What is the main event? Animals living happily in the forest. Next, it says describe the event. This is where I go into the details of what I have read, and I pick up the main parts which tells me that the animals are living happily in the forest. So what are they? Animals roamed in the jungle and played together without fear. Animals were friends with other animals, and the animals held happy musical evenings. So this is how I am describing the event that animals were living happily in the forest. So I have shown you how I am describing an event in the first two paragraphs. What I want you to do is do the same for the next paragraph 3, 4 and 5. We will look into this in more detail in the class. Once we have finished working on the first 5 paragraphs, we will finish the main events for the whole story. I will send this as a link in the chat.